Okay,
I was
begin.
passionate about when I was really young. Ready?
Yep.
So, Socrates and Plato basically like to say that the car is clean, that this chair is a chair, or something is good, that's good, something that we religiously believe in. Like, hey, this action is good, this action is bad. The only way to explain it is through this idea of forms. So we need to have a world of idea. There needs to be out there something called the world of idea that we can say, this thing is a chair.
Yeah.
If you cut off like two legs,
I think
it's
Plato was
it's
also
no longer a
similar,
chair.
right?
So that's why we call them platonic love. Like nowadays, when people say platonic, they thought of, hey, this thing without sexual contact. But the word platonic is much bigger term. It's like a platonic chair is what make a chair.
Sort of the idea that you have to refer to like
The golden-
outside book or whatever.
Whatever the ideal world of love is. So platonic
It
love
reminds me sort
is
of
this
of
ideal love.
There was this notion that this mathematician had sort of a bit comedic, right? Of like this God's book where he keeps all the mathematical proofs. Sort of reminds me of that.
This is something. Okay. So when you have something that's platonic,
Yeah.
after some sort of deriving, you reach a conclusion that
Of deriving?
no, of rationalism.
Right.
That you can conjure, that you can prove a truth, like math, 1 + 1 = 2, 2 × 2 = 4, that you can prove in your head without any link to the outside world.
A priori,
yeah.
posteriori.
From Kant, that's okay. So without any link to the outside world, that it is real. Like so like math, 1 + 1 = 2 and stuff. These things are ground truth. These things are truth that you can prove without ever jumping out of our senses.
I think
So Aristotle, which is a teacher of Plato, he went a whole another way. So what Plato did was he went to the world of rationalism.
Yeah.
You hear of two big branches of philosophy: rationalism and empiricism. I think you've probably heard of empiricism before, because that's how the world actually work. It's that there's no way you can prove a truth. That's what Aristotle tried to really dig down. You cannot really prove a truth from your own mind alone, like math and stuff. There needs to be a cycle where you need to act upon the outside world. The outside world returns some sort of feedback in senses, and this is the only way to be truthful, because it's tied to the reality.
The weird thing about this, right, and I'll only interrupt you for a second, is that this is about not just the approximate state of things, but the absolute state of things is where that would matter.
No,
right?
yeah, you can only prove something is real just by this cycle where you actually link to the outside world and it link back. You cannot just go in your head and just go in a circle and say, oh, this is true. You need to go outside and go back.
He was disagreeing with Plato.
Yeah, so that's his main idea. Not a lot of people know that, but that's his main idea. He also did a lot of things in rhetoric, poetics, and all that stuff. Very great things, and especially zoology. Like zoology, he was really good at, cause I think he's a biological person. So that's the idea of Immanuel Kant. Like when he came in, I think that's his big idea. I haven't really read Critique of Pure Reason. That's a really hard book, but I think his basic idea is that something needs to be linked back, and that's why it's important, because that thing is in itself, and it's 1,400 years of philosophy all condensed into one, and go like, oh wow, everything is not real. So they take rationalism and empiricism and merge it together. But basically what Immanuel Kant, that's an incredible thing, is like God doesn't exist. Like that God, we cannot prove that whether God is real or not. Like that's where you heard it from, because it just go into this circle. You never link outside and you never link back. You just go in this loop where you're not actually testing it against reality and doesn't test back. Like that's what scientific method was. It was like a branch of like Aristotle. You just go and back, but it's a much more methodological way of doing it.
Do you get what he's saying?
I'm not even listening.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Do you get what I'm saying?
yeah. I had a question, a follow-up question. You mentioned, so I want to kind of posture this correctly, right? So we think of Western, European culture as like Abrahamic, Christianity, and then there's also a certain amount of like paganism or whatever, but that's really not like focused on, like the folk religions
Western.
of like Rome and Greece. But then we also think of it as besides Christianity, which is the most powerful part, and it's also a recessive part sometimes, you could say, like atheism. It's also Western philosophy, like you're saying. But so Eastern is like shamanism.
No.
Well, I'm listing a lot of different things. Shamanism, Confucianism, I learned in middle school or high school, there's like Confucianism, Confucianism, legalism, and Taoism.
Chinese
Those
philosophy.
were the three kind of stages shown to me, right? But then of course there's like derivatives of that with who is most influential over time. Of course there was like the time of 1,000 philosophers or whatever is what the Warring States period is called, right? So that and like Shinto in Japan and Korea, I think they have like shamanism or whatever.
Shamanism? I never heard of that. I heard Taoism.
Like there's a
Confucianism.
there's like Christians and Buddhists and atheists and like shamans. Like the movie.
Shamans.
What was that movie? The Wailing.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it kind of
There's shamanism.
goes into those aspects, but maybe a more kind of like, malevolent sort of depiction of them, right? Because I don't think many Koreans practice traditional folk religions like that aren't from Korea, that are from Korea. So anyways, then there's like you were saying with caste, and that's like this aspect of ancient history with like Indo-European, because in the sense that like Celtic religion is a thing, and pagan religion and all that, right? Then also this is this kind of mixture of like the ancient Indian religion with this they went through Central Asia, and the light hurts your eyes, with
No, I'm good.
okay.
I'm trying to. Oh no, I'm listening. I have ADHD, so I have to focus.
I see.
Yeah, I have to really focus. Yeah.
Is that hurting your eyes?
It is.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.